Welcome to DigitalK.
We're going to talk about this incredible place called Earth. Why? Because shit's hard. Now, I love this quote. This is by Marshall McLuhan. There are no passengers on Spaceship Earth. We are all crew. If you just entered your career in digital, welcome to the end. Shit used to be way easier when I was a kid, man. Now it's hard. We all have to get stuff done. We have to pick up the tools and get it happening. Because why? We're at the cusp of the fourth industrial revolution. I've heard a lot of incredible things today, a lot of interesting insights, all valuable. But let's understand the grounding, please. The fourth industrial revolution. The first one all started back in the day with steam. And then, of course, along came electricity. And then computing, the dirty things in your hand right now. But for the last 20 years, what's sneaked up on us is intelligence. All of those ephemeral things we don't quite understand and qualify, that's intelligence. Artificial, human, or otherwise. And that's the thing that makes me really excited. The challenge for me is that these are the sort of things people like to harass me at. I'm going to spend my time at lunch with you talking about these things. People want to know about AR, VR, MR, schemas, privacy, security, UI, UX. The only thing they don't want to talk about anymore is fun. Now, I'm only here to talk about fun, man. You want to talk about something else? See ya. Why? Because look, at the end of the day, when I moved from Australia to New York City 20 years ago, I made a conscious decision. I'm from a country that actually had about 3 or 4 TV channels. How many do you have here? I just landed a couple of hours ago. I have not had a chance to turn a TV on. I haven't owned one in 20 years. That's a television. For those of you too young, you can Google that shit. That's a Sony Trinitron. I moved to New York. I kicked it into the hallway. The week I went there, I said, free TV. That thing cost me like $1,500 back in the day. I went completely digital. Why? Because 99 channels of television was crap. It was messing with my mind 20 years ago. I went completely digital native. So you little shits that grew up in the digital native experience, I made that decision 20 years ago. No TV, newspaper, no radio, none of that stuff. I went all digital. It was slow. But I knew who I was connected with, when, where, what, why, and how. I trusted the environment. Well, that turned into anxiety. About 2014 was about the last time I critically used Twitter. There's places you should go where you're celebrated. And those that you aren't, I would say get rid of it. So I'm in a place where the trust got sucked out of my world. And if I'm feeling anxious, maybe you feel anxious. If you feel anxious, maybe the brand you represent feels anxious. When you're trying to target 8 billion people on planet Earth, man, you cannot have anxiety. So, given that, this is the thing we talk about in our industry. We lack of trust. I had to come up with some reason to give you a trust fall. How good is that, man? A Pomeranian trust fall. Do I not deliver? Here's the other thing. This is what's amazing for me. The most abused word on planet Earth today in our industry is disruption. Wouldn't you agree? I've heard it a couple of times today. Thank you. What else comes up after disruption? Experience. Woohoo! You want some of that? Head out to the hallway. There's a ton of it. In addition to that, the 2019 buzzword of the year, transformation. You better be using all the stuff everyone else has spoken about to transform your business through technology to give a great experience that disrupts. How about those buzzwords all in one sentence? You betcha. But here's the reality, guys. The gig is to try and get people to your brands and then get your brands to people. Easy, right? Real tough. Because at the end of the day, if you speak to people at Harvard, this is the way they think that we're all categorized on planet Earth. I like this. It's the Harvard school of thinking around the psychographic targeting of humans on planet Earth. I'm more of a Maslow's guy. I'm a bit of a hippie, I guess. Maslow's rule of hierarchy, man. The only thing that needs to be updated on that slide, high-speed internet. Go Verizon. But here's what's amazing for me. Technology is changing our behavior. What it hasn't changed is our need. Yeah, our behaviors have changed, but our needs are still rooted in our DNA. There are certain things that technology cannot change. Isn't that great? So understanding the human need is half the job of fulfilling it, period, full stop. What does that mean? It means we need to connect with humans. Ultimately, yes. And I'm not talking about this guy. That's not me, man. I felt like I was that for a couple of years. I've given that up. And here's what's amazing for me. When we think about it, we want to connect. And this connection is happening in the ephemeral. A lot of it's got to do with IoT. I actually call it IOE, the Internet of Everything. I've actually updated that, which is the Internet of Anything. If you speak to Cisco, it's about $1 trillion market in 2025, about 1 billion devices connected. Really smart, intelligent devices like this. This is a teddy bear called the Guardian. When your kid holds this, it reads its biometric and will tell you how sick it is before you take it to hospital. Kind of cool. Or this thing. This is a toothbrush that'll brush all your teeth all at the same time because apparently we've been doing it all wrong all these years. So you get those seconds back in your day. Flick, out of the Nordics. There's a little buttons that you can press to do multiple things that you program. Blinds down, playlist on, mood lighting. The whole thing that today you quickly try and rush home with a 4% battery life to do. It can all happen with invisible little buttons that cost $30. Vanity is a big part of this consciousness. If you talk about Jeremiah, who's talking about well-being, it's here in a place like this. This is a mood ring that can change color based on what you determine you want it to be colored against. So it fits your personal style and aspiration. Because at the end of the day, this stuff hasn't really taken off. If you look at this, the smartest thing on this bottle of water here is a barcode. That barcode will give you the delivery, point-to-point system. It's pretty naff. It could have been really dumb and had a QR code on it. They only typically work in Asia, thank God. But here's what's amazing for me. This is an RFID chippable tattoo. So what you could wear this on your body for 2 weeks, and what you normally need a screen and a computer to do, you can do on your body. This gives you a sense of where these technologies are going and how invisible they are. Look at this. This is a piece of technology coming from Bose. So in the summertime, they're going to launch these sunglasses. But instead of it being cameras that are surveilling your environment, which doesn't really work, if you don't believe me, talk to Google Glass team. They'll give you that heads up. It actually has been converted into the arms. So as you're walking downtown, it could tell you to turn right because that's where the discount you're looking for. So it comes from voice. The problem I have with that, honestly, I've already got a lot of voices in my head, man. I have no more space for Bose's voice, I don't think. But here's what's amazing for me. Voice. Who would have thought we'd all be up here talking about the future tech and the only thing we bloody talk about is sound? Who has one of these things? Whether it's a Google or an Alexa or it's Apple. Okay, so the penetration in this room is relatively low, although I would say that's probably 30%. It's high. There's a lot of us talking to these native devices. But the number one thing that's exciting for you as a brand is a feedback loop. You don't get a lot of that. Feedback loop is critical to continue this conversation with humans. Do it vocally. It's important to understand there's value there. And you can also understand the power of brand sound. I mean, whose brand is this? Let's see if this will play. Intel. Within 2 seconds, you could probably tell me that. So as you are thinking about your brand, don't just think about the visual relationship we have today. The visceral relationship also includes sound. It's a segment you have to at least think about because a lot of us are thinking about how to compete in the world of sound today because of the devices we're connected to. And then, of course, we've got wearables. Wearables. There's almost 600 just in the category of fitness alone. Who has a wearable on in this room right now? Brilliant. What do you got there, brother? What you got? Fitbit? Blaze? What's that thing? Okay. Can that tell you if you're dehydrated, bro? Okay. No? Okay. Yeah, I can tell. We're all dehydrated. What do you got there, brother? Looks like Samsung. Fitbit. That is a Fitbit or like a Fitbit? It's not. It's made by Nokia. Okay, rock and roll. Who has a wearable at home that they don't have on here? Yeah, shitload of hands go up. Why? Why don't you have it on? Well, bloody hell, that's a bad excuse. You don't have it on for what reason? Ran out of battery, maybe? Nobody gives a shit if you walk 10,000 steps? Does the same thing your phone does? Because you're waving that thing at me like it's nobody's business. So here's the deal, man. Most people tell me, yeah, it's ran out of battery. It does the same thing the phone does. These wearables are amazing, but they're kind of naff. Except and they're beautiful. Look, no doubt, they're stunning. But there are some that actually show light on where we're actually headed, in my humble opinion, which is not to copy some of the fragrances of the phone, but actually do things that are super useful. Look at all these things. Some of them look like they're from the future. Some look like they're from the past. Look at this thing. Honestly, this is a lovely device. That will help people who are sight impaired navigate the world. A Braille Watch, yes. This thing, this is a ultrasonic sound wave device that you wear on your wrist that allows you to take a call and listen to messages by pointing your finger at your ear. It bounces sound off your jawbone. It's probably going to give you finger cancer, but whatever, dude, you're looking cool while you're doing it. You've also got this sort of thing. This is Pavlov. This thing will shock you if you do something you said you're not going to do. Get dehydrated for too many beers like this. You, brother, that's your shit. Yo, this. Check this out. This is a 3D dress called the gaze. This will morph and change based on your biometrics, so it determines whether you're trying to attract or distract the person standing in front of you, and the dress grows accordingly. Isn't that amazing? I live in New York City, man. I could use that shit on the subway. Heads up. And then, of course, we've got VR. We don't talk about VR much anymore, do we? I think it died a death in 2017. Who in here has not tried on VR? There's a couple of us. Well, welcome to 2017. Who in here owns a pair of VR goggles, personally? Jeremiah, when was the last time you put them on your face, brother? 6 months ago? Longer than that? How long were they on your face for when you had them on? 20 minutes. Let me talk to a normal human. Jeremiah is not normal. Did you put your hand up, dude? No, but you. Did you put your hand up? What do you own? Because of work, you were trying to check that shit out. But when's the last time you put it on your face personally? Long time. And how long was it on your face for? Okay, so typically I get an answer of, yep, tried it on 6 months ago. Somebody gave it to me for free. Came with a phone. And I had it on my face for 3 minutes. But we love VR. We want it to be organic. We don't want it to be like 3D TV. Whoever's got one of those, good luck with the 3D programming, situ. But here's what's amazing for me, man. It is incredible when you are wearing them. You have to agree. And it's been around for like 20 years. By the way, I prefer to watch it with the goggles on than the content in it. Because today, it's linear. This is the world we live in. We live in a native linear story where I can't change the content if you laugh and I cry. It's all the same. So the ability to pivot that content and be superlateral comes down to hardware limitations, but it will come. So instead of you making the decision to go left or right or up or down, it'll actually be based on your emotion, your feedback, and that'll be critically important for you. So people go to AR, Augmented Reality, also been around a long time. Why? Because it's inexpensive, it's fast, and it's highly shareable. So the CFO of your organization actually has something they can deliver upon and give you value. In your world, it's probably called a filter, but those of us in the industry, it's called augmented reality. But if you are wondering where VR went, it's going to places like this. So in China, they're building these incredible products that don't really require glasses because it's based on augmented. So as you wave this device over physical objects, it brings those objects to life, and that becomes a little bit more bearable. Again, if you are wondering where VR went, it went to Japan. Every fantasy realized, brothers and sisters. That's the G-rated version. Everything now apparently has built-in intelligence. When, where, what, why, and how. But the challenge for me is, so what? You're sitting there as marketers thinking, so what, man? So what, Shingy? We've got all this crap. Well, those who went to marketing school learnt the 4 Ps. Product, price, placement, promotion, blah, blah. They were invented in 1948, by the way, and I think are super outdated. I think they've been updated to these. It's about pedigree and platforms and partnerships and performance. It's a very different vernacular. It's more about our business relationship with consumers than the way consumers consume. Why? Because the business you're really in today is to connect people with sight, sound, and motion and drive emotion, because 75% of purchase decisions are made emotionally. We still sell to the heart, we justify to the head. Gone are the days of consumers consuming your content. Done. We now have to worry about the creator, the critic, and the curator. That's what the human is now. They're very different than the certain person you're thinking about. They're the slash gen. They're these little guys. They think they're artists, bloggers, stylists, VJs, DJs, influencers, ambassadors, and if you're really lucky, they'll take your brand with. Little shits. But what I do find amazing is that you're now competing with them. Because, look, here's the deal. Personal expression is now the new form of entertainment. I think you'd agree with that. Let me show you that video. I think he's not going to want to play. Check it out. You're not just competing with other brands, you're competing with everybody. Look, personal expression is the new form of entertainment. That's an extreme selfie. There are more kids dying from extreme selfies than shark attacks. That's the second tallest building in Hong Kong. Thank God it's before lunch. But here's where it's interesting. I thought this generation was super selfish. I got it wrong. It's more like a we generation. It's super social, aren't they? Really about the society of humans. Although, this is what it really feels like for me. This is an old slide I threw back in here today, because this is more about where I'm at, man. And we're all in trouble, I'm telling you guys. When we get to the pearly gates, we have a lot to answer for. And at the end of the day, I would argue that Instagram is the last of the open social networks. Who in here is on Instagram? Yeah, it's a thing here, right? Okay, whose Instagram is private? Private, set to private. Yep, more hands go up, lots of women. So there's a surge of insecurity that, yeah, welcome to the dudes trying to follow you at work and all that crazy rubbish. So, guys, that's a network that you have to make a conscious choice to shut down. But if you talk about WhatsApp, WeChat, Line, etc., they are all closed by default. Closed networks give you a sense of intimacy that doesn't happen on the broadcast open social network. And what I love about that, Oh, by the way, in 2011, I said that would be a trend. People thought I was batshit crazy. I was right. Because what's amazing for me is that this is where the new anxiety is. I have very few friends. But when I send out a text, you've got all my attention when those bubbles come back, bro. And here's what's amazing for me. It works for brands to engage with people. So while you're just thinking about catching up to the speed of internet, you have to convert that to a commerce platform. Why? Because it can work. So in China, we use WeChat. It's the only thing that exists. This is an example of Dior. They did this limited edition bag, only available in WeChat, sold out 24 hours. The cost of that bag, $2,100. So people have no problem doing transaction when it feels like an intimate relationship. But the value of young adults is they want to achieve happiness. They want to spend time with their family and friends. They want to be true to themselves and financially stable. So those values filled old world, but we're in a new world paradigm. And they want to be entertained. That's the top of their list. Why? Because they're bored. They're the generation that's growing up on a screen. When I was a kid, my parents would kick me outside and say, don't come in until the sun goes down. Those days are done. And so given they're done, this is the phenomenon. What happens when somebody does this to you? What do? You pull your phone out. It takes 2 humans on planet Earth for this crazy phenomenon called phubbing. And so I would say, with a pause, that offline is the new online. The time you spend on a device should make you a better human when you're face-to-face with them. Because at the end of the day, guys, we're going to end up with brand fatigue. And that is not the gig we asked for. Why? We used to grow up in a little place that had massive ads, little content. That was our way of marketing, remember? And now it's all about content, little ads. The content marketing industry is $280 billion alone. It's enormous. And so what do you guys do? We think about this. Ad blocking is a real... Who in here has an ad blocker? Oh my God, and you're in the business. Look at that. More people on ad blockers than Instagram. Amazing. But here's what's incredible. What do? You hijack the internet with your bullshit memes. You've forgotten about the high road. It's a longer play, guys. So at the end of the day, one of those ways to actually cut through the noise is have a point of view. Please, God, have a point of view. Let me show you some real-world brands that do. In New Zealand, the strongest football team on planet Earth are the All Blacks. They have this uniform that when you tackle them, it reveals a pride flag. So it actually has softening the shoulders of a very masculine sport. So they stand for something. McDonald's took them 5 years to choose to do this iconic work. They don't even show their logo anymore to tell you how to navigate to their restaurants. Lacoste replaced the iconic crocodile with a limited edition range of T-shirts, limited to the number of these species available. So for some there's 20, for some there's like 1,000. This whole range sold out in 24 hours. You can only buy those T-shirts on the black market, which apparently is where we buy those animals, because humans suck. Ugh. This from Ikea. They're trying to innovate around paper. They said, hey, if you think you're pregnant, pee on this page. And if you are, it reveals a highly discounted price on her crib. Look at this thing. Coca-Cola do not want plastic to end up in our food chain. So in Vietnam, they changed the bottle tops to be useful. Pencil sharpener, bubble blower, water pistol, so it's no longer rubbish. KFC changed the logistics company in UK, and they had a bad PR storm. They didn't wait for the PR to come around. They injected a whole bunch of comedy, and that infused fun into their brand. Look at this. That's the launch of hot and spicy chicken. Look at that photography. It is absolutely stunning. Here's the deal. If you are trying to create contagious content on planet Earth, please build something that has a surprise element to it. And please reflect back cultural change. Reflect back culture in the things that you want to target. That's what's hot. And at the end of the day, guys, it's the context of how you communicate that matters. Bottom line, with all that we're going to say in the next 2 days, context matters. Build great content, put it in smart places. And the best way to do that is understand where you are loved, understand the fragmentations, understand where you engage best, and go deep in those elements, because that's where you get fusion. And ultimately, if we're going to bring back trust in a world that feels very anxious today, you're anchored upon storytelling. The #1 word in our industry is storytelling. But please do less telling and focus on the story. You can end up with something amazing like this.
follow the night, can't stand the light. One day I'll fly away, leave all this to yesterday. What more can your love do for me? When will love be through with me? Why live life from dream to dream and dread the day when dreaming? One day I'll fly away, leave all this to yesterday. Why live life from dream to dream?
That is the Christmas story, as told by one of the largest retailers on planet Earth. But notice what they did, guys. They're not showcasing any product. They're selling to the head, selling to the heart to justify to the head. If you understand the power of the internet, you can also end up with something as crazy as this.
One day I'll fly away, leave all this sleep life.
It would be funny if it wasn't true. You can also end up with something like this. All of this to say that people get to your brand differently, and if you understand the power of the internet, what's really important at that time is your brand sentiment. If it went through the roof, that means you have the attention of the people that are right for your objects, and that's really important. And my last statement is this, guys. If you obey all the rules, you miss all the goddamn fun, which is my favorite quote by Katharine Hepburn.